This is my one-piece pattern. I already cut the 5/8 inch seam allowance out, so you don't need to. Just put it down, pin, and cut. Here I use pinking shears that finishes the inside seams. And then now we want to remove our pattern, and we're going to go ahead and open it up. And now is a good time to place your design, sew it on, paint it on, embroidery it on, whatever design that you come up with. It's easier to put it on a flat surface. And now we're going to put the shoulder seams together. And so line it up, go ahead and pin it if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. You gotta sew really slow, okay? And here's your shoulder seams are finished. You want to find the center back of your vest and put your bias tape over that and make a mark on your bias tape also. You can go ahead and pin your bias tape to your vest. Now you're not going to start sewing right by the center back. You're going to start sewing at your shoulder seam. And that just gives you room to work with your bias tape when you come back around. Make sure you sew really slow. Slow gives you that professional looking uniform stitch. Okay, and now sew all the way down to about 4 inches from the bottom. Before you get to the corner, you want to stop. Stop and put a pin in it, and then I'll show you next how to work with that corner. But go ahead and make sure that the edge of your material lines up with the center of your bias tape, and then go ahead and pin it like right where I said, about 3-4 inches from the bottom. And then now we're going to work from the bottom. So pay attention to which way you're going to sew next. So on this one, you're going to sew to the right. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go to the right. And then go ahead and put your bias tape. Find the corner. And you're going to put a pin there. You want to pin it through the bias tape and the material. So you're just going to stick it there so you can pivot your bias tape. You're not going to secure it, you're just holding it. So then you're going to swing your bias tape around, and it's going to want to go ahead and miter itself. See that little miter there? Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next. And here you got to work with it. And since you're going to the right, you want the bias tape that's coming down to the corner to overlap the one that's going to your right. So yeah, so take your pin out and pull that flap out. Okay, yeah, pull the flap out because you want the flap to overlap and go to the right. So here we go. And make sure that your fabric is still lined up with the edge of the other fabric. Now you can take something sharp. Here I used my pin and pull that top one down just so it goes into, so it makes a good miter. You can see the look on it. It matches up, see? Nice corner. And then you're going to go ahead and pin the rest of your bias tape down. So when you're sewing, nothing moves. And it's really easy for your fabric to separate from the center of the bias tape. So make sure that you're always checking the inside. And just take a peek and see if the edge is still bumped up against the middle of the bias tape. Okay, so now you got it pinned. Go ahead and pin the rest. Oh, but first let's check the back, and to see if the back is also mitered in the correct direction. Also, it should be. So check and make sure it's lined up. Peek underneath the bias tape, and then go ahead and finish pinning everything. And then you're going to go ahead and sew, and you're going to sew from where you left off, and then you're going to sew all the way down to the corner, and you're going to stop at the very corner with your needle down in your sewing machine, and then you're going to just rotate your work to go the other way. So you just rotate it like this. Easy peasy. And then you're going to go ahead and stitch along, going up to the other side. Well, actually, this is going around to the back of your vest. So you're going to stitch around and go to the back. And remember that slow is what you want to do to look pro. So make sure that your needle is all lined up. Now you're coming back up to the center back. You're going to stop at the shoulder. You don't want to sew any further than the shoulders. That gives you room to work with the bias, to joining the bias tape in the back. So you want to go ahead and mark where your other piece is going to fall at the center. Then you want to go ahead and open it up, and you want to match those two lines together, right sides together. So the two marks should be facing each other, and hold it in place and go ahead and check to see that there's no twists or turns when you turn it over. It's not hard to get twists and turns in this because at times it's pretty confusing, but you'll get it. Okay, so go ahead and pin it so that you can go ahead and stitch. Now this is the easiest join that I found. Others will miter it, but it looks good like this also, and it's the most easiest that I found to finish join. And this join is right in the center back of your vest. So we checked and it looks good. So go ahead and sew that. You can back stitch if you want. You don't have to because both ends will be folded in. And then go ahead and cut it close to the seam like I did here. And then you want to open it up and finger press that seam down. And then go ahead and take a look at it. Fold under where the bias tape was unfolded, fold it back under. And check and make sure that you have it aligned with your vest so that the edge of the vest neck back is up against the bias tape, the middle of it. Like I said, it can easily get lost, and check to make sure that you don't have any, I call them wows. So if you do, you want to unpin it and go ahead and repin it after you tuck it back under to where it looks perfect. So go ahead and pin it, and now you're ready to sew from shoulder to shoulder. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And you did it. So that's really good and looks good. And no one will ever know. And if you wanted to put a label in it, you can if you have labels. The underarms, you're going to do exactly like you did on the collar. You want to, give yourself room on either side. Go ahead and mark it, and then go ahead and start sewing, just like you did with the collar. And then when you get to the seams, you want to make sure your seams are tucked the right way, and go ahead and pin it because they want to sometimes unfold. Lastly, we're going to take care of these corners. We're going to go ahead and sew it down so you can See, you can start on one side, go all the way down, turn maybe 3 stitches over and come back up. And look at how pretty. It's all done. Thank you for watching. And hey, if you're an empty nester and want to do some sewing, but you're on the fence, check out the link in my description for a guide on how it shows you where to begin. In my future videos, I'll be doing a shawl, and I'll also be doing a Pendleton leather Letterman's jacket. Thanks for watching. Your family and your friends, they're going to say, "Can you make me one of those?" And you're going to say, "Yeah, sure. I can do it. I can make one." So now you're going to go ahead and do the sleeves, and it's the same process that you went through with your collar. Oh, just a reminder, when you're going over seams, make sure that you look underneath and see that your seams are flat. Make a mark under your armpit in chalk or use a pin. Proceed like you did the same as your collar, leaving enough room to where you can turn and match up those chalk lines. So the seam, pin it, go back to where you started or where you stopped sewing, and go ahead and finish sewing from one end to the other, and voila, you are done. Last thing, let's finish those mitered corners. So you can press it first or whatever. Just as you can see, go down one side, cross over in 3 stitches and come back up and you're done.